want to say is that the expectation that all in the room will be respectful. What's going to happen now is questions are going to take place. So we have people lined up here to ask a question. They'll be allowed to ask one question. The candidates will respond. They have 1 minute and 30 seconds to respond. If you don't ask your question to a specific candidate, the question will go to the reverse order. So if a question is asked and it's not asked to a specific candidate, Daniel will be the first to speak, and it'll work down the line. Each candidate does have the right, or they can flag me if they want to also answer the question. They can do that. Again, they will be given 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer the question.
And there's written questions too, isn't it?
Yes. So we will go back and forth between questions asked on the floor versus written questions. If you do have a written question that you want to get in, you can just bring it here to us at the front, or again, there's a box just off to my left. We'll start with the floor, and I just want to say, in the interest of giving everyone a fair opportunity, again, to ask questions, I ask that you restrict your question to one, and you'll be given 1 minute to ask your question. Now, because we only have one mic, I'm actually going to be going back and forth, and so just bear with me. Okay, our first question.
Hi, my name is Liz. I live in Montrose. Here we go. I believe, and I've talked to a number of my neighbors, that probably one of the biggest concerns, or one of the top three in the ward that I have lived in for 8 years, is safety, crime prevention, and crime. And I think that that's a fair statement for the ward. Also, Mr. Katerina, I noticed your flyer came to me just the other day, and you said that you would continue to improve policing and decrease crime. I'd like to know, so I did, I went on the Police Commission website and took a look at what role you've played with the Police Commission, and I'd like to have you explain to me how you think that you can actually have an impact on the Police Commission when out of the last 15 public meetings you've only attended one. I believe 7% attendance, and it's public. This is on the Police Commission website. You have access to minutes and agendas. You have only attended one meeting out of 15, and I would like you to respond to a 7% attendance at an appointment to the Police Commission, to me as one, a landowner and a taxpayer in this ward.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the question, and certainly with my time on the Police Commission, this is my 4th year as a commissioner on the Police Commission. And as you know, that the scheduling sometimes is unfortunate, but we are as councillors first, and the responsibility is there. Just so people understand, as a commissioner, I am not there as a councillor, and as a councillor, I'm not acting as a commissioner. So I'm not sure where your stats are coming from, or what year they're coming from. In that
The last 15, Mr. Katerina, the last 15, and it's posted in the minutes.
Certainly, yeah, absolutely.
And that's an appointment because you're a councillor. You are not on that commission because you are a person of this
We appoint
board.
2 councillors to the Police Commission, and those 2 positions are, councillors actually volunteer for that. We ask who would like to sit on those commissions, and that is one that certainly representing Ward 7, having lived in Northeast Edmonton for the last 50 years, I absolutely understand the concerns of safety and crime in our attendance. I can't tell you this evening exactly what the circumstances were, but I'd be happy to find out exactly what my schedule was. Certainly the last 30 days, as you know, we're campaigning, and certainly the commission meetings that continue to go on.
Wow. 1 out of 15, and that's the best you have for me, a voter, in your ward.
Okay, I think you addressed the question.
Or not.
Anyone else have a comment?
I have a comment, actually.
With another question on the floor. Again, I'm going to ask that people just be respectful. If there's anybody to be calling out or anything like that, I will actually ask you to leave the room. Thank you. No, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Gary McCallum. I've lived in Edmonton for almost 60 years and several years in Ward 7 itself. Little preamble. Tony, I loved you when you were doing things with the airport, and I thought you were the man that listened. Since that point in time, I've tried for the last 3 years to contact with you, arrange with you, meet coffee, discuss issues, and I've gotten nowhere. The second preamble that I have is to Dave Colburn. You originally came out and said in a public interview that you didn't vote to close any schools and to check your record, and I checked your record and you voted to close 3 schools. I called you a liar in social media and I begged you for a response many times and you ignored me. With that said, my question to all the candidates is about integrity and communication. What is it that you can tell me that will make me happy that I can trust you? Thank you.
I'm very happy for that question because actually it's one of the main reasons why I decided to run, because the way it is that I took on the plight of running when I got a flyer from Mr. Dave actually, and in there was a promise that in 4 years in office he will have a forum with the community twice. And I said to myself, if that is the best you can do, something is utterly wrong. A true, like I said, I am running not to lead but to serve. A true server of this community will know the importance of such media and interaction with the populace. And that is why I don't have a website, because I refuse to feed you anything that you cannot question. I do have a Twitter account, an email, a phone line. You can reach me anytime. There's nothing that is worth doing, whether in your private life or as a member of any office, public office especially, where you should not be able to be held accountable. And there's no other way to be held accountable to such than to have those avenues available for the people to reach you at any time. Thank you.
One of the biggest problems that I identified over the last several years is the lack of communication, the lack of two-way communication from City Council. And I had a guy wag on the doorstep the other night. He said, the problem with people that call themselves leaders is that they expect the rest of us to follow, and they don't listen. And I agree with him. I think what we need are representatives, and we need two-way communication. We don't do things like announce our financial disclosure policy like Mr. Colburn did during this campaign, and then 6 days later launch a survey asking you what you thought a financial disclosure policy should be. That's the kind of communication we have now, where the city tells us how it's going to be, and we get to react or not react, and we just have to suck it up. So I want to find ways that we get people involved in the decision making to form the choices, not just to respond to the choices council already makes. And that means also talking to people that might not agree with you, and our councillors are paid very well. When the members of Newton go door to door and present council with a 1,400 name petition, which I know you did, to deal with traffic safety concerns, and you don't even get the courtesy of a form letter from your councillor saying thank you for your concerns, it's clear to me there's a communication problem, there's an accountability problem, and there is an integrity problem. I would like to address all of those things, and that means you get to yell at me, because at the end of the day, you're the boss. You're the leader, not me. Thank you.
Hello. It's very easy to answer an email or a tweet or a phone call if you want to. The only reason to not answer it is if you don't want to. Well, in the past month, I've had dozens of emails a day, and I've tried my best to answer them all. I've had people phone my house. I've phoned them right back. I'm very popular all of a sudden, and till the end of the month anyway. And I think that's the way it should be. I'll contact you, I'll tell you what's up. If I don't know what's up, I'll say it. Without a lot of political BS. That's the way it ought to be. We're a public servant, a servant of the public. And we should always keep that in mind.
To answer that question, demonstration. I've been at almost every single community league meeting since I announced my candidacy. I've been at over a dozen social organizations meetings. I've met with over 100 business owners within this riding of Ward 7. And I've done that at the expense of my own personal time. But I've also knocked on over 6,000 doors. It's called being effective. And I'm very good because I can manage many different types of communication at one time. And that's how you're going to know whether you can trust me or not, Gary, is because I'm going to be around all the time at any other function. Not every single community meeting, but I think 1 a quarter is pretty good, given the fact that we've got all this stuff. And you'll have answers from me at every single meeting. Thank you.
Well, one of the challenges with social media is people have the opportunity to virtually say anything, which could be entirely unsubstantiated, and they can hide behind some Twitter moniker like Pete Smith or Common Sense. You, sir, are entirely mistaken and entirely incorrect in stating that I have voted to support 3 school closures. And if you, sir, had the courtesy and decency to call me or send me an email, I would have walked you through the process and provided the answer to that. In terms of how people should know that they can trust me, I would encourage people to go to my website and take a look at the quality of individuals who have endorsed my candidacy. These are people with whom I have worked extensively. They have extremely responsible positions in a variety of environments, and they believe in Dave Colburn. They believe he would make an excellent city councillor. They would not have that respect for Dave Colburn if they had any questions about his integrity. And if you want one more, or if everyone in this room wants one more assurance and indicator about how and why you should trust Dave Colburn, I can give anyone 5 or 10 or 20 or 50 names of people I've worked with as a trustee. They will speak to you about my integrity. Thank you.
Gary, I know you and I have talked many, many times, and certainly the airport issue was very dear to me, and that had a lot to do with the fact that these are people's lives, employees, employers, companies, that we made a decision that I believe was one of the worst ones in this city's history. Only history will tell whether that decision was a good one or a bad one in about 50 years, if anyone is actually living on those lands. I can't tell you what's going to happen at that point. Your other concern, Gary, you know that my office has always been accessible to you. We might not have always agreed on some of your concerns, but certainly you know that your concerns have been addressed, and if I don't agree, I don't agree. I'm sorry for that, but that's something that I can tell you, that I am always accessible. Will I always agree with a particular view? Not necessarily, but at least it is accessible, and we do get back to virtually everyone that calls us in with a concern, and that is my integrity. I've built my integrity for the last 57 years, and certainly this campaign, many will have realized that are running that when you're unemployed, you can run at this for 24 hours a day for the term of the campaign. I am the city councillor, and I am the city councillor until October 29th.